It's time to repot your orchid, and you go to look to see if you have all the materials, and guess what? You're missing bark. So you look online to see what kinds of barks are out there, what's the best, what's the cheapest, what holds up, but there are so many kinds. It's daunting, actually. So in this video, I decided to review Better Grow, Miracle Grow, Repott Me, and Orchiata. Going to be comparing them to mystery brand here, which really doesn't have a brand name at all. So what is the best bark? We're gonna find out. So Repott Me is one of the most famous brands. They're also one of the brands who has the most number of variations of potting mix. So for example, this one is specifically for cymbidiums. This one is for phalaenopsis. And not only these two, they have 17 other types of potting material in them. So out of all the brands that you have, these have the most variety. I will tell you right off, well, hello, somebody's missed our videos. But this one, which is the Phalaenopsis Monterey Dark Imperial Orchid Mix. In this one, we're going to have a medium Monterey pine bark, hydroton, New Zealand moss, which is AAA. The quality of this moss is excellent. And it's also going to have large sponge rock, which is this white one right here. Now, Repott Me will have two kinds of brands no matter what type you buy. Like if you're buying for Phalaenopsis, they'll have the Imperial and they'll have the Classical. The difference between these is that the Imperial one was created after the Classic. Their quality is excellent. You are paying for what you get, but they are the most expensive. So if you can see here, the bark inside here is smaller and there's not that much sphagnum moss. I mean, you can see right here that there hardly is any sphagnum moss. So if you live in a hot and dry climate, don't buy this. Do not buy this because your orchids will dry out too fast. They won't retain enough water that they need, and your roots are going to turn all brown and crispy on you. If you live in a climate that is extremely humid and cool, this is perfect for your Phalaenopsis because it's going to evaporate quickly, but your climate's already humid. So even though it evaporates, it already keeps that moisture inside the pot. So that is perfect for what you want. Please note that the bark chips are smaller. So if you have a huge Phalaenopsis or a Cattleya even, this one will probably not hold it as well as the other mix. This one is the Dark Imperial, but you can buy a gold version, and that will have virgin chips from Portugal in it. And the dark version has chips from Orchiata pine, which comes directly from New Zealand. So the quality on here is excellent, but the price, I paid the same thing for this as I did for this. And in here you can repot 2 orchids, about 5-inch pots. This you can pot a heck of a lot more. So take that into consideration. Whoa, sorry, take that into consideration. Just a note on this, if you want to buy Repott Me, I would strongly advise to stay away from Amazon. And I am an affiliate for Amazon, but the price on Amazon is a lot higher than if you go straight to the Repott Me store and buy it there. And I am not affiliated with Repott Me, and so it's a pretty big difference in price. I think I paid like $25 for this on Amazon, and then I saw the same thing on the Repott Me direct website for $19. The next brand I'm going to talk about is Orchiata bark. Now these come in 3 different sizes, as not size of the bag, but size of the bark chips. So make sure that you're buying which one that you want, and I'll list them over here. The 3 brands are Classic, Power, and Power Plus, and these are going to be the size of the bark chip. There is only bark in these. There is nothing else. There's nothing added to it. There's no sphagnum moss, no perlite, no charcoal, anything like that. It is pure bark. So even though they do have the 3 sizes, I find those 3 sizes a little bit too small. So if you're going to buy just on sizes, make sure you upgrade a little bit. But the idea is that the classic is for the seedlings. The power is for the in-between phase, like from 2 to 4 years, where they're still not adult orchids. And the power plus is for adult plants, mature plants that already have strong roots in them. Now, Orchiata is excellent for pest control. They treat their New Zealand radiata bark with special treatments to control the bacteria, to control the mold. You will not find bugs in here. You can get it a little bit on the moisture side, depending on how long your supplier has had this on the shelf. Now, moisture isn't really a problem because you can just lay it out in the sun, but you do not have to boil this or soak this. Actually, with the Repott Me brand before, you also did not have to soak it. It's good to give it a little shift, but both these brands so far do not have dust in them. They do not have particles that are breaking down. By the way, since I haven't made a video in quite a long time, it would really help if you like this video, or if you commented, or if you shared, because YouTube probably thinks I gave up. I didn't. Thank you so much for everyone who sent an email, a text, Instagram, a Pinterest message. I really appreciate it. If I have not written back to you, write again. I probably lost the email in these months that were kind of hectic, and I didn't mean to. Let's get on to the next bark. The third brand I'm going to talk about is Better Grow. Now, Better Grow has, and listen other brands, please listen, they have a resealable bag. I mean, awesome. They did that right. I wish cereal would have resealable bags too. Look at this. It's resealable. I mean, look at that. I can close the bag again. Awesome. Just right there, I love them. The other thing about Better Grow is that they have all kinds of stuff included in their orchid bark. So they will have charcoal, they'll have perlite, sphagnum moss, but here's the thing. They have peat moss in here. I do use it for terrariums, like in backgrounds, because they make an awesome looking background. But for the inside of my orchid pot, I don't want peat moss. Peat moss is going to turn into a mud-like cookie brownie type thing, and it's awful because it doesn't absorb. Well, it does absorb water, but it just turns into mud. And then there's no airflow, there's no circulation inside that pot. And Better Grow does use chunky peat moss. There are 4 types of orchid bark on Better Grow. As for Orchiata, there's just one. There's just one that is simple bark. There's one for the Phalaenopsis, which is this one right here. There is one that has an all-general orchid potting media that has more items in it, which you can see right here. And there's another one for dendrobiums. Now, the one for dendrobiums is a little harder to find, but you can find it still. This one is excellent because of the price. The price, I mean, you can't really beat $8 for this. And it does hold up quite well. The cons of this is the dust. There is so much dust in here. You will have to sift it. You'll have to drain it. I recommend soaking it for at least 1 day so that material can absorb the water. So it will need a little more extra handling, if you can put it that way. Miracle-Gro. With all due respect, stay away from it. This is super cheap. I think I bought $5 for this whole bag. This is just the bark. It's the coarse blend, and you can find finer blends. But when I think of coarse blend, I think of thicker chunks that have more structure to them, that have rougher edge on them, because they're for bigger rooted orchids, just like Phalaenopsis. They're not going to be for your fine little rooted orchids. For that, choose another one. Probably the Orchiata would be the best for your finer root orchids. But Miracle Grow just had so much dust in there that it was already broken down. Also, Miracle Grow, please treat your orchid bark. I mean, how do I say this nicely? I have lost count of people saying they opened the bag and there's fungus gnats inside the bag. It comes all full of moisture. It comes full with a musky, moldy dirt smell. And I like the smell of earth. This is not the smell of earth. This is the smell of something that has been in a bag for way too long, and it really needs a treatment process. So if this is the only thing that you have to repot with, it's not going to kill your orchid, but sift it, boil it, put it out in the sun to dry, spray it down with Physan 20 or any fungicide, bactericide, or any other product before you use it. Also, on the website for Miracle Grow, they recommend that you repot your orchid every 6 to 12 months. Why? Does that mean that their potting media only holds up 6 to 12 months? Is that it's going to break down in 6 to 12 months? Because no orchid likes to be repotted in 6 to 12 months. Even pure sphagnum moss can hold, the cheap pure sphagnum moss can hold out to a year. Now, if you get the more expensive sphagnum moss, it can hold out to 5 years. So why does this break down in 6 to 12 months? So yes, it's cheaper. Yes, it works. If that's the only thing that your market has, go for it, but treat it. Prepare it, put it out in the sun, boil it. I mean, get rid of, and open it outside, because it'll probably come with fungus gnats. And I mean, customer service on Miracle Grow is excellent. I will give them 10 for that. They have answered every single question, but I don't like their answers. I mean, I wish I did, but I really don't. Their answers kind of leave, because they said that mold won't hurt your orchid. Yeah, it will. So treat it, use it. It will break down quicker, so keep that in mind. And to the last one, my mystery mix. I bought this. It doesn't even have a name brand on it. I don't even know who makes it. I bought it off Amazon. It just said orchid bark. There was no description whatsoever. It was $8 for this, so it is kind of expensive. It is in a resealable bag, I will give you that. But as soon as I got it, there is so much moisture in here. And that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. I mean, moisture means that it was either two things. It was treated recently. It was bagged recently, so that means this is fresh. Or that mold is already growing in here and the bacteria are already providing gas exchange, and that gas exchange is creating water droplets and all the rest. Bark size, it is extremely small. It's already starting to break down. You can see a heck of a lot of dust in there. So can you go with these mystery brands? I mean, I wouldn't, just because the same price of a mystery brand, you can buy Miracle Grow, and if you spend an extra $3, you can buy Better Grow. It's worth a shot if you want to try it, but I would not repot an orchid that are already expensive and something that is dubious. So stay away from the mystery brands. I mean, if you are the owner of this brand, I am so sorry, but make your bark chips bigger. Yeah, this is gonna degrade and hold a lot of water. So again, if you live in a dry place, pick the smaller bark pieces. That's gonna hold the moisture a lot longer. And you might be wondering, which one do I use? And I really do not like to give my personal opinions about brands, because my growing conditions are different than yours. I mean, I do have drywall in here and carpet, and my air conditioner is on, or my heater is on all year round. So my conditions are extremely dry. They're dry, but I have a heavy hand in watering. So I have to pick something that works with me. But I will tell you one thing. If I just had to go with one brand from here on out, Orchiata. It holds up to its name. You do not need to treat it before. It's never, ever come with any kind of mold or bugs or moisture or anything like that. I am not sponsored by them, so you have my honest opinion here. And not that everything else was a lie, but this is really honest. So Orchiata, go for it. I do have a link in the description, and that, yes, is an affiliate link because I get an extra cup of coffee if you actually use that link to go over to Amazon. If none of these brands are in your area and you're wondering what you can buy, check out this video up here that talks about orchid bark. I did it sometime in the past, but you will know what to look for in a good bark. And if you want to know what other kinds of potting media to use, look at this video over here. Thank you so much for watching, and happy cultivating!